Our first keynote speaker this afternoon, as the custodian and chief executive officer or registrar of the Agricultural Produce Agents Council, or APAC, he regulates all fresh produce, export, and livestock agents. He does this across the whole of South Africa for agents who, through their aggregated services, serve the most beautiful of all our industries, agriculture. His regulatory, economical, and ethical framework has but one purpose: to protect what matters most, those incredible farmers who provide us with our food security. He has a passion, second to none, to work with people, of whom farmers are right up there. He does so with an incredible level of energy, almost nervous energy as he calls it, and he loves agriculture with all his heart and will do so till the end of time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Agricultural Produce Agents Council Chief Executive Officer of APAC, Mr. Francois Knowles.
Good afternoon, all. I want all of you to consider the following. Just think about this. It's a little dear mekaar, but I want you to put your mind around this. Have you ever met a qualified forensic auditor who studied economics and marketing, who does law as a regulator in agriculture of all places, is related to Beyonce Knowles, is currently on a beautiful golf course not playing golf? Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. It's an absolute honor to be here. I would like to open a window in the world where we work. It's an exciting place where we work, and I think there's no point in winking at a beautiful woman in the dark. And it's time that we open this and put it in the light. I work for APAC. APAC is the Agricultural Produce Agents Council. We're not a political party, as a farmer asked me recently. We are a government entity. We are not part of the government. We do our own funding. We have sharp teeth. As a regulator, I've got an act behind me, and we work diligently and relentlessly to serve a beautiful industry. As I said, we are a statutory council. We are based in Pretoria. I regulate 3 areas in agriculture, that being all fresh produce markets and all the agents that are involved there. I regulate all the export agents as it pertains to the export of fruit and vegetables across the world. And of course, the most important one that we will discuss today, livestock agents. I look after all the auction facilities in South Africa. We provide a legislative framework. We have about 285 of those facilities operating on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We do this on behalf of the Department of Agriculture, and we do this in the manner what we can call self-regulation. We're moving away from having the department and bureaucrats performing that kind of function. Here's a disclaimer: if you work with me, I can warn you I will make you tired, because we really work hard. We don't do this alone. I've also got a board of directors, 18 of them in total, and they represent the whole industry, specifically livestock. And as I said, we do this with great care and great oversight. Okay, so let's take a deep dive into the livestock industry. Animals. It's really important that we just put this into context. If you look at the livestock value chain, where we operate where there's auctions and where there's livestock agents. That's the middle value chain. At auctions, there's something that we call price discovery, and that's really important. Where you compete with your with fellow buyers price is truly discovered. And if you look at the picture on the screens, you will see that there's a very big red arrow moving backwards to the producer, the farmer, or the cattle or animal owner. And that I will highlight as we go along, because there's a great amount of importance that we have to place on the role of the farmer in terms of animal diseases and in terms of keeping our beautiful industry disease-free and well managed. Of course, we've got other value chains. You'll see there's one of feedlots, and there is one where people operate independently. This could be online, private, whatever they do, it's all contained in that value chain. We would like to believe that the livestock value chain is well formalized and well structured, borrowing the following. This is what we call a free state interlink. This is not acceptable because if these animals are moved, there might be the real risk of somebody getting sick or the spreading of diseases in South Africa. But if you work in a dedicated manner, you have to be well aware of the fact that you will be confronted with this. And this is 2025, as a matter of fact. We also regulate the game industry. Who knew? So that's a very interesting part of the work that we do, and I will allude to that some more. What we don't do, thank goodness, is poultry. I wouldn't survive that. However, we do regulate ostriches. So it's a matter of perspective. If you want an ostrich to be a bird, yeah, we don't want them to be birds, but they've got red meat, so we regard them as livestock animals. Right, so in going forward, it's very important at this point in time that I ask the question. I would like to ask the question to the audience, except Nico and all the people I've just spoken to. What do you think the value of the livestock industry as it pertains to auctions are? Anybody would like to venture a guess? At least somebody try. What is the value of the animals that we auction off in a year, in a week, in a month? Okay, that's a good answer. So you say 50 billion. The value of our industry is 1.6 billion per week. That equates to, and I think you are very accurate, to about 85 billion per year that is auctioned through that value chain. Now, let that sink in for a moment. We have 60 million people in South Africa. They must all eat. What an opportunity. Forget about the vegans for a second. It's really important that if we take a step back and understand what we're dealing with, it becomes enormous, the work that we're doing. So sadly, we have to do the boring part as well. APAC has what we call a livestock agent legislative framework. This is the manner in which we perform our mandate and how I regulate. We've got a primary act called Act 12 of 1992, and this was amended in 2003, and we're currently busy amending it as well. It's important that we remain relevant, and relevance will, in this case, refer to online platforms as a good example. How do we regulate that? How do we make sure that we look after the interest of the farmer? And I'll get to that. Now, the Act itself provides us with specific goals and objectives, and to serve that purpose, we have a set of what we call rules. It will soon be changed to regulations. Watch the space. But in the regulations, or rules as it's currently known, we've got what we call a code of conduct for livestock auctioneers. And this is really important. This is legislated. It contains the following. There's provision made for complaints. We've got specific manners in which we register our auctioneers, how we prescribe the receipt and documentation of all animals that go through auction facilities, then how it's accounted to principals. As a forensic auditor myself, I'm very focused on that, and I am able to read financial statements, and we ask that as a matter of interest once a year from all our livestock agents, or auctioneers if you like. So we have a very firm control on the business, the flow of the business, and if there's anything going wrong in there, we can pick it up as a precautionary measure. Why? Simply to look after the interest and protect the farmers. That's really important. Now, if I say we protect the farmers, why do we do that? Remember, when a farmer gives his animals to an auction house or an auctioneer, it's done on risk. And I think there's a parallel that can be drawn between the work that all of you do in one way or the other. Now, in terms of our legislative framework, we also have what we call biosecurity rules for livestock agents. This was published in 2020 on 30 November, and I'll talk about that some more. We've got many other pieces of legislation that we use, Stock Theft Act, we use the Consumer Protection Act. Anything that is related to animals is specifically also included in the work that we do. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. What is expected from a livestock auctioneer or agent? And I would like to ask your indulgence. Let us just read this and again remember what we are doing. Livestock agents specifically stand on the auction block in the sales ring, facing the bidders in the audience. They point out any particular desirable qualities that of an individual animal or animals and that they may have, and they mention general information like pedigree, age, and breeder. That's all information that is needed by the buyer to make an informed decision. Then they begin to chant the asking price, raising the bids regularly as they look around the sales area and receive bid signals from their supporting staff and the people that bid. This is critical as they may be very subtle in the way that they bid, and we all know that. And at the end of this whole process, the auctioneer will bang the hammer and the animal will be sold. And that's a very nice reference to remember of why we are who we are and why we do what we do. My question is it really in our world that simple? The answer is no. In our regulations, we've got what we call a code of conduct, and I know you've got your own code of conduct. Mine is legislated and very important because we work on risk for the farmer. So every agent or employee owes a specific fiduciary duty to his principal. That is something that I don't think you've heard before, but that is very relevant and applicable in my world. How is this done and how is this measured? With honesty, and it must be done in good faith. We all accept that. With due skill, care, and diligence. With knowledge, we also provide online training, and I will get to that as well. And then the most important thing to end off with is it must be done in the best interest of the principal in this case being the farmer. Anything else that is related, such as a conflict of interest, is something that we look at, and we look at that in any and every case that we register an agent. So that begs the question, how do you become a livestock agent in APAC's world? You must join a reputable livestock and auctioneering organization. If you are a startup, we will assist you with the process. We do what we call modeling. We do what we call cost estimates. So it's very important that if you start the business that we give you the guidance of what you need to expect. Then an interesting thing that we do, we vet all people that become auctioneers at APAC. We do that on two levels. We do financial vetting, and we also do criminal vetting. Why do we do criminal vetting? If you work with other people's money or products or items, the risk is going to be very, very significant in that scenario. If we find somebody that's got an outstanding warrant for speeding, we will look the other way. I'm not exactly a good example there. But if you are involved in theft or fraud, you will not, on my watch, become an auctioneer. And that is my call today. I heard somebody mention ethics earlier. Ethics is the core of what we do, supported by economic transactions. That is really crucial, and I've got two of my staff members here today, Kudani and Pandile. They're sitting there. You can ask them any questions about this. So if you do pass the vetting and the crediting, then you must undergo compulsory online training. This is training that relates to the legislation that we use as our mandate. Very important. The current cost is not much. It's 7,000 Rand. That gives you insight, that gives you access, and that gives you credibility to act as an agent or an auctioneer. From 2020, we've started re-registering our auction facilities every 2 years. That is about to change when we redraft our legislation. And then, of course, what I've already alluded to, accounting records, financials, financial statements. All of you will know that in the work that we do, that traceability is crucial. The paperwork, the delivery, the arrangements, the contracts, we are very focused on that, and specifically in livestock, we make sure that we are always one step ahead to make sure that the farmers are properly protected. We do things like a conflict of interest exercise every year. We do a CIPC search on the IDs of the auctioneers that we have on record, and you'll be amazed to see what we find. So if you are registered with APAC, prepare yourself to be properly regulated. We do our BEE status yearly. I've done some amazing work with Sifu. He will tell you that we're busy with a very interesting project in the townships. Okay, so if you are an agent, what do you get? You get a certificate. That's a registration certificate, soon to become a Fidelity Fund certificate in the new amendment of our legislation. And then also you get a bank-like ID card that you can present to the people that you want to source the animals from. That's a given, and that's a proper control measure if you work in the industry. Now, I have to talk something about our product. This is not something that you can't combine this with a beautiful vase in a China shop. It's not going to work. To tell you something about our product, the sharp side is in the front. At the back, there's some serious kickers, and there's about 1,000 kilograms of meat in the middle. That little thing is a grumpy as hell, and it will not give its cooperation in anything you do. As a matter of fact, I honestly believe it will try and kill you. So please take note that what we work with is we work with challenges on various levels. We've got resource limitations across South Africa, so we rely heavily on the auctioneers and to get them to a level where they do this properly and where they are well equipped to look after all the principles that we prescribe. Our industry is very volatile. You will know from 2014 onwards, there were sales done in the game industry. Incredible high prices were achieved, and that came down crashing very soon after. There's a lot to be said about that, but I don't want to go there today. We've got some unregistered livestock agents out there, people who do not want to comply. We're working on them one at a time. It's important that if we want to properly regulate our industry, we have to have everybody on board. Equal playing field. That's what we want. Stock theft in South Africa is a massive problem. We know that many of the farmers don't even bother to report this to the SAPS, but we estimate the current scenario to be in excess of 3 billion rand per year that is related to stock theft. And that's at best a guess. Dealing with injured animals, remember when animals are offloaded at auction facilities and they break a leg, they will not be sold, or they will be sold at a very lower price. That becomes a challenge, because if the farmers then decide not to auction off those animals, we ask the question, where does it go? Those animals end up in strange places, street corners. They end up in unregulated abattoirs. Imagine the risk, imagine the safety issue for us as consumers of meat when that happens. We're working very, very hard on that. In addition, we also have the SPCA on our backs. For those of you who follow the news, we had an issue with the export of sheep from East London. APAC was sent to the assistance provided to solve that issue. Those animals were dying on the ship, and the SPCA got wind of that, and we had to address that. The one thing that I want to tell you about our product, animals, it's a live animal. They will get sick, they will die, and they are not there for any other purpose as opposed to being a production animal. We fight with the SPCA because we have to convince them continuously that an auction is not a petting zoo. In saying that, we will see that animal in Spur tonight. So it's important to also then just touch on diseases, animal diseases. We deal with all reportable diseases. There's legislation for that. Case in point, we've had a massive outbreak of foot and mouth disease in 2019. We managed to contain that, and I'll talk to you about how we did that. But currently, we have foot and mouth in KZN, and there's some other outbreaks, but they are all well managed now because we have proper traceability in place. If we follow our process of documentation, paperwork, flow of animals, then we know, and we can contain those outbreaks and manage them well. And before you become hysterical, foot and mouth is something that if you buy the meat and it's properly prepared, it goes away. Right. It's also not that harmful to the animals. They get sick and they will not always die, but it's an economic disease which can bring the economy to its knees because of perceptions, because of export, etc. Currently, we're sitting with a problem with the exports of animals to China. We need to resolve that as a matter of extreme urgency. We wrote biosecurity rules in 30 November. I've already said that to you. When we had an outbreak, the minister decided to close all auctions. So I saw her with some of my industry partners, and we asked her if we could come up with a set of rules to manage biosecurity or all the diseases going through auction facilities, and we have many. Brucellosis is one of the biggest ones in South Africa. We look at that. We've got TB. We've got animals coming with ticks, lumpy skin disease. There are many, 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 many. And we all manage them through a proper flow-through system. Now, foot and mouth, it's important that you note this. If you, in your value chain, are aware of all the possible and potential risks, if you know, you can manage them well. Foot and mouth is normally visible serologically in the mouth, the feet, and the animal is lame, can't walk, and that is typically some of the signs that we've been dealing with lately. Okay, so biosecurity for us in our environment is crucial. We have gone so far to provide a training platform and a certificate course that you go through. If you do this, then you are compliant in terms of knowing what to do if there's an outbreak of foot and mouth, or you identify animals that are that have been infected. At auctions itself, I'm a practical man. I like to believe that we need to bring theory and practical situations as close together as we can. We sometimes at universities, and I teach at the University of Pretoria as well, if we have the academic on this side and the practical side here, we need to get them as close as possible together so that we can have practical solutions that are vested in academic research and so forth. Okay, so at auctions, if you ever have the ability to go to an auction, you'll see we've done enormous amount of work across South Africa. We've got boards everywhere, we've got processes, warnings. The facilities itself are divided in biosecurity and red zones and areas of risk, etc., etc. There's a lot that we've done, and if you are interested in learning more about this, it's all available on our website. One of the important things is that we have appointed at all auctions what we call a biosecurity practitioner. This is somebody that is registered with the South African Veterinary Council. So we go in high level, qualified people registered with the Vet Council. Then how do we make sure that what is required is done properly? We do an audit process once a year. We've got a company called South African Meat Industry Company, SAMIC. They do the audits for us, and they are accredited, and they've got a national footprint. Please hear me today that the work that we do, everything has consequences, and if we don't cover every base, then we would be grossly negligent or not looking after the industry. So when you have an audit outcome, you get a proof of compliance certificate. This is what it looks like. This is displayed at the facility, and this tells the potential buyers, this place is safe, you can buy from us. So please again, take note of the fact that we are doing our due diligence in a proper way. In conclusion, this is the largest agricultural subsector, and we have to look after this. It's well structured, we would like to believe. I think yet we need to do so much more, and the mere fact that we are taking hands with SAIA is a perfect proof of that. I would like to get all my auctioneers SAIA registered in addition to what we already do. It's very complex. You have to understand our industry. Many of the auctioneers are also, as you are, in competition with one another. That creates a few very, very dynamic challenges for us. But we deal with that, and it's challenging. So with that said, thank you very much. I really appreciate your indulgence and your time, and especially allowing me to say something at SAIA. Thank you very much. We'll take 2 questions. Okay, thank you.
Bonnie?
I don't know if anyone had any questions. Has anybody got any questions? We've got a microphone here if you want to ask any questions. No questions. Going once, going twice? No questions.
Yeah.
Ek weet nie, kan ek hom in Afrikaans vra? Ons het nou die dag, ons is nou deur Uitpack gekontak. Ons was by hulle. Ek het nie geweet ons moes wees nie. Ons is nou in die proses om dit weer reg te kry. Met die livestock agents, daar's gesê as dit nie fresh produce is nie, hoef ons nie 'n fidelity fund sertifikaat te hê nie, maar julle het nou gepraat daarvan dat die reëls nou weer deurgeskryf word met die aanlyn. Gaan dit verander? Is dit iets waarvoor ons moet voorsiening maak?
Jy moes al voorsiening gemaak het. Ek dink dis baie belangrik. I hope you'll indulge me. Ek dink dit is baie belangrik dat julle moet inkoop in die hele proses van biosekuriteit. 'n Ketting is net so sterk soos die swakste skakel. As almal nie inkoop nie, en julle het 'n aanlyn platform, dit weet ons, en ons werk met julle, en ek wil nie in die detail daarvan gaan nie. Ek dink net, my boodskap is, almal moet saam met ons werk. Dit help nie as iemand wat nie geregistreer is nie. Dit gaan hier oor een ding, dit gaan hier oor die vloei van diere, dit gaan hier oor die risiko van die verspreiding van diere siektes. As ons serologies tekens optel reg oor die land, dan moet ons dit kan bestuur. Ons moet weet wat sy herkoms en ons moet onmiddellik kan reageer. I always say to people in South Africa, be very careful of what you ask. Many of the people in our environment ask us to put up roadblocks across South Africa, get the SAPS involved, and put up roadblocks everywhere to contain and to stop animals being transported up and down. Can you imagine if that happens? We will establish another economy on the roads. So we do not support that. We support the fact, en ons kyk spesifiek na die bestuur en die verantwoordelikheid wat by die afslaer lê. Die afslaer moet sy rol speel. As ons al die boksies tik, het ons 'n baie beter stelsel en dan gaan die probleme baie minder wees. En ek hoop ek antwoord jou.
Baie dankie.
Anybody else want to ask a question? 2 questions. We're now going. Any advance on 2?
Thank you very much for that wonderful section. And I believe I've gained so much under your teaching. Sir, my question is from the perspective of where I came from. I am a Nigerian, and in Nigeria, we believe in rearing animals locally. So I don't know what are the methodologies or the strategies that we can deploy to bring something like this to Nigeria, because I'm looking from the perspective of being an agent, livestock agents in Nigeria. How can we dominate the market? How can we create a market? We believe it's a very good market that is enhancing economic development. But where I come from, I don't know, can this work? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the question. As a matter of fact, we are engaging Ghana currently to assist them with a strategic plan or a focus going forward. That includes livestock. So they've got arable land, they've got all the opportunities, they've got the most amazing water sources. It's a little warm, but there's such an opportunity, and they've asked us to assist them with a strategic focus going forward. They're talking 100 years. So we've actually supported the idea, and we've bought into that, and we will help them. All I'm asking you is contact us, and we would have a conversation with you, and if there's anything that we can do for you, and all our information we'll share freely. We don't want anything else other than to put you in a position to be able to do better business and to grow your own economy and then your livestock sector.
If I get you correctly, sir, is there an international market waiting for the supply of these? If we rear it locally, we generate this locally, can it be exported out so that it will also boost our economy in Nigeria?
Yeah, my practical approach and my experience in that is we need to do a gap in analysis. Simply put, we need to understand what is the situation. If we know what the current situation is, then we can determine where to go and how to do that. And that's not an easy exercise, but it's doable. And if you are committed to that, we'll gladly assist you. So I will ask my staff to just give you our numbers, and you can contact us. We'll gladly talk to you. I would just like to say one last thing to you, to the young lady in front here. Sorry, I don't know your name. My apologies. But if you do work with us, let's make music. We can do so much for this beautiful industry. Thank you, everybody.